Back in Power BI, continuing to learn DAX, and in today's video, I am going to show you how to use the ConcatenateX function. We are going to learn some different ways you can add columns and see all of the different items from the sales orders. You can create a new column into the customer table. Now, this doesn't come up often, but this does come up if you want to see all of their sales orders or if you want to see all of their days that they purchased. You can use it for a variety of things. So let's take a look at this. Again, you can download the file and follow along. It's the AdventureWorks database file. There will be a link in the description below, but we're going to work with ConcatenateX and show you some of the different features. Now remember, this AdventureWorks data file is already set up. When you go to the relationships, we have a complete model view built out. And the question we're trying to answer here is we have a customers table, we have a sales table, and we have a sales order table. And what we want to see for each of these customers, if we go to the table view, on each of these customers, we have a customer name. And I want to see all of the different sales order numbers for each customer. Because if you go to the sales orders, we have a sales order number. And if you go back to the customer table, we have a customer name. Now, these tables are related through the sales table. The customer is connected to the sales table, and the sales order is connected to the sales table. The sales order table is connected with the sales order line key. So what we're going to do is go back to the customer table, go to the table view, and create a new column. We're going to do this by using the concatenate function X, and we're also going to use the related table. So we're going to call this sales orders, and the syntax starts out with ConcatenateX. And again, I always read the IntelliSense because what this asks for is a table, and then your expression, and then the delimiter. And then you've got two also things that you can also use, which is the order by and then the order number. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to concatenate X, and we want to use the related table. And this is just asking for a table. Now, the table that's related is the sales order table. So we are going to choose the sales order table. We're going to close that out. Then all we need to do now is bring in what we want to bring into the customer table, which is the sales order. And we can do this if you hit the left bracket, all of your different columns will come up. We're going to use the sales order, and then we're going to close out. So we're using the ConcatenateX and the related table function. When you close this out, it'll create a new column, and we have all of the sales orders. Now, the only thing is it's kind of hard to read. So what we want to do now is remember on that ConcatenateX, it had the delimiter option. So we want to go back, and now we're going to add in the delimiter, which is now coming up in blue. So the delimiter is we're going to have a quote, and we're going to delimit these by a dash. And that's all we're going to change. So now, between each of these sales orders, we have a dash. So that makes it a little bit easier to read. Now, the next thing we can do is we can also show you another example where we want to bring in either the sales. If you look at some of the different options that we have in the sales order table, we have the sales order, we have the sales order line, and we have the sales order line key. So that is the ConcatenateX when we want to bring in all of the different sales orders to a new column, and you can look at it by customer. You can see their different sales orders. This next example, we're going to stay in the customer table. We're still going to create a new column, but this time we're going to bring in the sales order line, and it'd be the same thing. It would be order line, we're going to call this new column, and we're going to use the ConcatenateX, and we're going to work with the table. So the first thing we're going to do is go related table, and from the related table, which is still the sales order table, that does not change. The only thing that really changes is what column we want to bring in there. So if we hit the left bracket, all of our different options come up for the related table. And what we can do here is we could bring in the sales order line key if we wanted to see that information. And it's the same thing from there. We would then close it out. Then we add our delimiter. So for the delimiter, this time we're going to use a comma. And then all we need to do is just close out the ConcatenateX. So now when we hit enter, we're now going to have a new column with the order line. And this is now going to be delimited by the comma. So there's an example of we brought in the order line. We did the delimiter with the comma. And then the first example, we brought in the sales orders. We used the delimiter option, and we used a dash, and we brought in all the different sales orders. So one of the things, if we wanted to see the sales order dates, and we had that in the sales order table, we could use the dates. So there are some different options that you can use with the ConcatenateX function. Continuing to learn DAX, the final example we're going to show you in this AdventureWorks dataset. Remember, you can download the file in the description below, follow along. We've showed you an example from the sales orders and the order line, and we use the delimiter option, but now we're going to show you those two final parameters you can bring in into the ConcatenateX, and we're going to take a look at how to bring those in when you bring in the order by and then the order that you want, if you want descending order or if you want ascending order. So we're going to go back to the customer table. We're going to create a new column. Now this time we want to order the sales by the sales amount. And we're going to use the order date. So we're going to bring in all the different order dates, and then we want to sort them in descending order by the highest sales amount. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this sales by order amount. And the syntax, actually we're going to use this orders by sales amount. And the syntax is going to be ConcatenateX. And the first thing it's going to ask for is the table, but we want the related table. And this time around, we're going to use the sales table. We're going to close that out. Next, we're going to bring in the order date key. And if we hit the left bracket, we get all of our different options. So we're going to choose the order date key. So now we're going to bring in all of the order dates. That's what we want to see. But this time around, we're going to use the delimiter. So for the delimiter, which is highlighted in blue on your IntelliSense, we are going to use a comma inside quotes. Then, if you notice, now we're going to order by the expression. We haven't used these last two capabilities of the ConcatenateX function. So now we're going to hit Shift-Enter for a new line, and now we want to bring it in. If we bring up the left bracket, we want to order by the sales amount. And then the final expression If you notice, when I hit the comma in blue now is going to be the order by, and we can determine ascending or descending. So we're going to choose descending. Then all we need to do is just close out the concatenate-x. So now we're using all of the different options, the order by and the order amount. We're using the delimiter, and then we're using the related table to set up the actual table that we want to bring in the data. And the data we're bringing in is the order date key. So when you hit enter, you're going to bring up a new column. Now we've got all of the orders. These are actually the order date keys, and they're in descending order by the sales amount. So some of these, this customer only has 2 orders, so he's got 2 order dates. This one's only got 1 order date, 2019, August 6th of 2019. So, and if you wanted to see those in order by ascending, you could take a look at that as well. So this function, it's not something they use often, but if you want to quickly see the order sequences or by the highest order by descending or ascending, this is something you may want to use and create a quick column or a quick measure. Now again, you could use the concatenate-x function in Power Query as an option as well. This one we did the calculated table, and we wanted to quickly see the sales orders or the orders by sales amount. That is a look at the concatenate-x, continuing to learn DAX in this video. If you want to like and subscribe, please make sure to watch some of the other videos. We've got a beginning DAX video. We recently did an all versus all selected video as we continue to learn DAX in Power BI.